Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for standing by. Welcome to the Africa Oil Twiga Results Conference Call. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. Following the presentation, we will conduct a question-and-answer session with instructions provided. If anyone has any difficulties hearing the conference, please press *0 for operator assistance at any time. I would like to remind everyone that today's conference is being recorded. I'll now turn the presentation over to Keith Hill, President and Chief Executive Officer. Please go ahead, sir.
Good morning, afternoon, everyone. Thanks for calling in. Given the share price reaction yesterday, we thought it would be appropriate to have a conference call to discuss the results of the Twiga Well. We're actually fairly surprised by the share price reaction to it. We thought it was essentially good news, and we thought maybe it would be worthwhile going through and just clarifying the press release and discussing the things that were contained within it. So I'm going to start off with a short overview of the well, and then I'll turn over and we'll field a few questions from the participants. So as most of you know, the Twiga Well is our second well in the campaign, and with Polo in the Kenyan Tertiary Rift Block. It's on trend with the Gambia discovery, which was announced in the spring. It has basically this very similar geology. It's a fault block with three-way dip closure up against the main basin bounding fault, and we're looking for the same two reservoir targets that we found to be productive in the Twiga Well, which is the upper Lacombe sandstone and the lower Lacombe sandstone. Due to the fact that these two reservoir targets are not coincident on a structural basis, one vertical well to test these two targets has to be a compromised location between those two targets. So what we did was we located the well to kind of test the down dip limit of the upper Lacombe sand and to try to test the up dip limit of the lower Lacombe sand. So while not optimal, we thought it was best to take one well and test both of the plate concepts at once. So as we reported in our press release, we did have a section of pay 30 meters thick, which was in the upper Lacombe sand. So the section we penetrated was about 70 meters of total sand thickness in the upper Lacombe, and only the bottom 30 meters was filled with oil. The reason the upper section was not filled with oil is because it's outside of the closure at that level. And we knew this going into the well, and in fact the sand came in pretty much on prognosis. So this 70-meter section should be directly compared with the section in the upper Lacombe in the Gambia well. And I think we were quite happy to see it come in roughly on prognosis and roughly the thickness that we were expecting. So one of the comment made in the press release when we refer to up-dip potential in the upper Lacombe in the sands is due to the fact that we are down-dip. We're 4 kilometers from the bounding fault, and that we think if we drill an up-dip well, it's quite possible that some of the upper sands in this section will be filled with oil. But of course, we'll have to drill a well before we can confirm that that's the case. We drilled ahead. We went through the middle Lacombe shale, which is the main source rock in the basin. When we came out of the middle Lacombe source rock interval, we actually did not enter the lower Lacombe sandstone as we had prognosed. What we did was we went right into a fractured sand shale sequence that we believe may be some type of basement wash or some type of tighter reservoir that's across the fault near the basin bounding fault. Somewhat similar to the very lowest part of the section we saw below the lower Lacombe shale in lower Lacombe sand in the Gambia 1, with the exception that it was a very thick section. It did contain sand in the shale sequence. Almost every one of the sands that we drilled through, as disclosed in the press release, had good wet gas shows and oil shows, which led us to believe we may have encountered a new type of reservoir in a new section that we hadn't seen before in the basin. So we did do an evaluation of that section with logs. We also ran an MDT tool, which is the report in the press release where we said we had movable oil. We did recover a sample of oil from one of the MDT points in this lower section. And of course, the thing that we talked the sands, we did see those good shows. So this is a new concept that we've seen in the basin. It's a new concept that's been seen in East Africa. Obviously, it's early days, and as we said in the press release, it's going to take more evaluation to see if it does have any potential, but certainly was intriguing to both ourselves and Polo, the operator. So, as discussed again in the press release, we are embarking on a testing program. The actual testing program has not been finalized between the operator and the partners, but we will be attempting to test this lower fractured section as well as some of the conventional targets that we had above. I think the three reasons we're very excited about this well is, number one, we have extended this string of pearls concept. In other words, all of those basin bounding fault closures, we now have the 2 for 2. We've extended that to the north, and we see this play concept de-risking all the rest of the string of pearls. I think that's a very positive result. We also are quite impressed by the source rocks in this basin. Basically, in both of the wells, Twiga and Gamia, every porous interval, even the relatively tight sands in this new fractured sand play that we've identified, are filled with hydrocarbons. So it suggests a very strong source rock kitchen, a very active charge system. And I think lastly, it's this decline concept. While early days and while keeping in consideration the fractured reservoirs are more tricky, more difficult, and will require a significant amount of more work to understand, it certainly is opening up a new play concept, which is in addition to the upper set Lacombe sand and the lower Lacombe sand that we opened up in the first well in Gambia. We still believe that the lower Lacombe sand may be productive at the Twiga field, but it would be encountered down dip from where we drilled this well. So once again, that will require further drilling to evaluate. I think in summary, we ended up drilling this well. We feel it's a very positive step forward for the group and for the play. And I think we are going to take these results and incorporate them into our future drilling program. The future program is still being discussed with our partner Polo. Obviously, we had one rig drilling on Pai Pai, which the results of that are expected by the end of December. We have another rig about to mobilizing into the Sabisa location in South Omo Block just across the border in Ethiopia. And the forward program with this rig is to test the Twiga Well and also to most likely move this rig down to the Gamia Well and perform a similar testing program on the Gamia discovered once this is completed. That's the overview I have today, and I'd like to turn over and ask if there are any questions from the floor.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will now conduct a question and answer session. If you have a question, please press the star followed by the 1 on your touchtone phone. You'll hear a tone acknowledging your request. Your questions will be pulled in order they are received. Please ensure that you lift a handset if you're using a speakerphone before pressing any keys. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you do have a question, please press the star followed by the 1. One moment, please, for our first question. Your first question today comes from Christopher Brown with Canaccord Genuity. Please go ahead.
Great, thank you. Good morning, Keith. 2 quick questions because I don't want to use up too much of the time. The first one, curves and pressures that you saw in the upper 30 meters, were those normally pressured reservoirs, and are you able to give any type of perm range that you derived from the MDT analysis?
Not really. I think we believe that the proper perms will be indicated by the testing. We did do MDT samples. We did recover at least 3 oil samples from the upper section, stated in the press release. But permeability was widely scattered. There were some fairly good permeability points, but there were a number of tight ones. The main question being, are they tight because of reservoir conditions, or are they tight because of potential wellbore damage? But I think the main our main target is to test these properly, and that will be the most conclusive permeability measurement.
And then just on pressures, I know that the Nagamia 1 well was slightly below normal pressure. Did you find normal pressure reservoir on this 30 meters?
In the upper zone, it was normal pressure. I honestly don't know what the pressure gradient was in the lower zone.
Okay. second question was just on test results for something we can look forward to. You may be constrained on surface equipment. Are we to expect, especially if you start doing creative testing with the lower fracture zones, may recover a lot of fluid? Will you be providing just the raw data of the test results over the periods of which you flow back, or are you going to be providing extrapolated flow test results, incorporating pressure analysis to give us like IPR curves so that we can see the productive capability of the well extrapolated?
Yeah, we haven't completely decided on what type of test we're going to be doing, including whether we do use pumps or not. Obviously, if we do use pumps on some of these zones, there will be, and the pumps are exceed their maximum pumping capability, there will be additional information we can hopefully glean from those tests, from analysis of the pressure data. But whether we release that or not, I think will be between our partners and the government.
Okay, thank you very much.
Your next question comes from Michael Alsford with Citi. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, Keith. I've got two questions if I could. Just firstly, just on the forward drilling program, I know things are a bit fluid at the moment, given you're focusing, I guess, primarily on the testing. But could you maybe talk a little bit about strategy here as to the near-term program for the lower, I guess, the southern string of pearls? Would you be still looking to try and test extensions of the bounding fault play, or would you then maybe look more into the middle of the basin and sort of drill things like Camber, and maybe talk a bit about what the risk would be associated to Camber post the results from Twiga? And then just secondly on, I guess, the drilling time that's taken to drill Twiga. Obviously it's frontier, and we know it just takes time to drill frontier wells, but obviously you were expecting to drill this a bit quicker than I guess you did in the end. And can you maybe talk a bit about what you encountered? I know there was a couple of issues with the rig, but is it geology or caution of drilling that's causing the longer drill times, or is it more mechanical issues that you've encountered? Thanks.
Thanks, Michael. As far as the first question, we are looking to drill a well away from the basin bounding fault, more towards the center of the basin. Camber is one of the ones that we've been discussing in our presentation, and I think that's a very likely candidate to be drilled as one of the next exploration wells. As far as which rig and the timing, I think that's still to be determined with our partner Tolo. I think we still would like to continue drilling along the string of pearls. Kandwani is probably the best looking prospect in terms of the structural closure, and it's right between the two discoveries, so I think it has a very high chance of success. It has the largest vertical relief closure at all levels, so I think we have it's very high on our drilling queue as well. As far as the timing of drilling, the thing that has complicated both Gambia and Twiga, the biggest single factor is that we're finding so much oil in them. And therefore we're taking more logging runs, we're taking more sampling runs, we've been doing multiple MVPs, we've been doing coring, we've been doing sidewall cores, and that's a good problem to have. I think we don't really see that there's been a few, I think as we announced, there was an electrical issue with the rig that shut down the rig for about a week in October and delayed that result. But in general, we're not too concerned about the oil run of time, because we have been doing significantly more evaluation due to the large amounts of oil in both of those wells. We did have some drilling issues in Gambia, which required us to sidetrack that well. I think we've solved those. I think it's a combination of the mud system and some of the well hydraulics. So I think the actual drilling ahead portion, I think we've learned quite a bit on, and we're doing much more efficiently.
Great. Thanks, Keith.
Your next question comes from Phil Corbett with Deutsche Bank. Please go ahead.
Yes, hi Keith. Just to follow up on the previous question, have you seen anything on your further analysis of the sort of Camber and low pro prospects, I guess with the FTG and the seismic that you've got, to indicate that I guess the sand packages there are much thicker, or just you infer that those prospects might be more attractive than the basin bounding fault plays? And I guess just a related question, that let's say if you do test the Upper Laconia at Twiga South, and